Good afternoon. In the past, we've mentioned the 3-2-1 backup rule, but in honor of Backup Month, I thought we'd go a little bit more in depth about it today. What is the 3-2-1 backup rule? How does it work? And why should all small and medium-sized businesses use this rule to protect their essential data? Stay tuned to learn more. Hello, I'm Michael Kinnett, CEO and founder of Eternal Networks, and every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on my personal LinkedIn pages, I go live to discuss the latest tech and cybersecurity news that might affect you and your business. At the end of our live session today, I'll also be making some time to answer any questions from the audience. So if you have any technology or cybersecurity questions, get them ready. I'll make sure to have time at the end to answer those. But first, the news. I have a couple of them today. There are actually a lot, but it was kind of hard to narrow it down to just two. The FBI and CISA recently issued a joint release warning of increasing royal ransomware attack risks. Department of Health and Human Services, if you remember, if you heard, back in December revealed that multiple large healthcare organizations in the US had been hit by the royal ransomware. And since then, the FBI and CISA have seen an increase in the number of submissions of those that are being attacked by the royal ransomware. So within this joint announcement, the FBI and CISA shared indicators of compromise, a list of tactics, techniques, and procedure links to help defenders detect and block attempts to deploy this royal ransomware. As I mentioned, over the past 2 months, the incident report submissions for this type of ransomware has been increasing, and so there's a new risk from this threat. So you may hear more about royal ransomware in the coming weeks and months as other organizations may be impacted by it. The next news article or news headline I wanted to share, it has to do with Chick-fil-A. Now, if you haven't had Chick-fil-A, I recommend you go have it. It's really good chicken. They've got really creative marketing, advertising campaigns. Well, they have some negative news here. They just confirmed that their customer accounts were hacked in a months-long automated attack. And what happened is attackers used credential stuffing between December 18th, 2022 and February 12th, 2023, using account credentials that they'd taken from a third-party source. Now that's what Chick-fil-A officially announced. Now, what that means in cybersecurity terms is there was another breach somewhere else in which these hackers got access to account credentials that they then used to attack the customer accounts for Chick-fil-A. Attackers, they would have had access to the Chick-fil-A membership details of any accounts that they compromised, including their name, email, their mass credit card number, any e-gift card balances and rewards. In response to the attack, Chick-fil-A forced customers to reset their passwords. They froze any funds loaded into the accounts, any e-gift cards or other rewards account in dollar amounts, and they removed any stored payment information from the accounts so that those hackers could not gain access to any of that information. They also stated that they restored any account balances pre-attack and added some additional rewards to their customers that had impacted accounts as a way of apologizing. So I think Chick-fil-A handled this pretty well. Once they detected it, they steps to lock things down and to minimize any damage, and then reached out and notified their customers fairly quickly. All right. If you do have a Chick-fil-A customer account, I do recommend though going and changing your password if they did not force it, just to be safe. Now on to our discussion on the 3-2-1 backup rule. Now, if you're not familiar with it, I've talked about it in the past, but if you're not familiar with the 3-2-1 backup rule is, I'm going to explain it here. But it's a rule for backing up your data. Essentially, you create 3 copies of your data. That's the 3. You have the original data on your device that you're backing up, whether it's your computer, your server, or whatever. And then you have at least 2 copies off of that original device, right? So you have the original data, 2 copies to make up the 3 of the 3-2-1 rule. You then use 2 different storage devices. This is the 2 part of the rule, right? So 3 copies of the data, on 2 different storage devices. It doesn't do you any good to back up all of your data on the same computer that you're backing up, because if that computer's lost or stolen, guess what? So are both of your backups. So you have to choose a different type of media to back it up on. It can be, one of them can be your computer, right? You can back up to another drive on your computer, but you also need to back up to a secondary one. It can be an external hard drive, a USB flash drive, a DVD, NAS, cloud storage devices, right? There's lots of different options here, but it needs to be separate device than the original data. The one in the 321 is you must keep 1 copy of your data off-site. And by keeping copies of your data in a remote location, you prevent data loss due to some sort of local disaster or site-specific failure scenario. And so the reason that, so I'm going to go through some of the, a little more details on this, right? So we talked about keeping on 2 different types of media and how many different backup copies and all this stuff, right? So you have your original, 2 backups. The reason to keep 2 backups instead of just 1, because you might think, I don't need the third. I have my original and 1 backup on an external drive. I'm good. Well, the reason that we recommend having 2 is that protects against any other disasters, accidental deletions, hardware failure, cyber attacks, etc., right? If you have it on your computer, you have it backed up to an external drive, okay, so that meets the 2 different devices, you're not protected. Because if you get hit with ransomware, I just talked about Royal ransomware, right? So if you get Royal ransomware or any other version of it, it will encrypt your data and the hard drive that it's attached to. Or if you have it on a NAS, it will reach across the network and potentially encrypt the NAS. And so it's important. If you're relying on only 1 copy of it, that 1 copy could then be compromised through some sort of failure, disaster, attack, or whatever. And now your original and that 1 backup is gone and you're out of luck. So by having that second copy, that provides an additional layer of disaster recovery and protection against you. Now, you may wonder, where should I store my full backup, right? Where should I put it? Well, I mentioned a couple of the options: external hard drives, cloud storage. Once again, one of them needs to be off-site. So if you have a full backup on-site on an external hard drive or on a NAS or a backup appliance, another version should be off-site. And we highly recommend cloud storage. Using cloud storage can be automatic, right? You have a local copy, it then synchronizes to the cloud off-site at another office location, at another facility, through a cloud provider, whatever. That provides that additional layer of protection. So if anything happens there, you're covered. How often should a full backup be done? This is another common question. For small, and this question kind of depends on the backup technology that you're using. Some backup technology requires full backups and incremental backups. And if you're doing that, then we recommend a full backup at least once a week of operational data with daily incremental or differential backups. I'm not going to go into all the differences between incremental, differential, and everything. Just know you need to pick one and do at least daily incremental or differential backups for that thing, and then a new full backup every week. Now, some backup technologies don't require full backups. They do inverse chain backups, which basically means that every backup's an incremental after the initial, and it's doing the changes from the original to that. And I don't want to get too technical in here, but some technology does not require weekly full backups because of how their technology works. So it's important to evaluate the backup technology you're using and develop a strategy for that, so that you know that you have a solid, stable, full backup, and that those incrementals are manageable. How long should you keep your backups is another big question here. I recommend the industry. You can talk to 5 different techs, you're going to get 5 different answers on what's recommended. From what I've heard, the kind of average in the industry is saying at least 2 months. For all of my clients, we do 90 days. We do a 90-day retention rate on-site, and we do a 1-year retention rate off-site. And so your business, you're going to have to evaluate what your needs are But going with at least a 2-month to 3-month retention rate ensures that you can safely restore a clean copy of your system or data if you need to. Perfect example, we had somebody recently that had some corruption of some files and they didn't know about it. And we had to go back almost 2 full months to a backup to be able to recover that data because nobody had touched it in that amount of time, and we were able to go back. Well, if you only had 1 month of backups, guess what? All your backups are going to have that corrupt file and you're going to lose that data. So it's important that you can determine, what's appropriate for your business and the amount of data that you have so that you can ensure that you're not going to end up losing any files that aren't touched regularly. So the 3-2-1 backup method really is important because it helps you to make sure that your data is protected to recover from any failure scenario, to keep your data recovery objectives, right? How quickly do you want to be able to recover? And it helps you to avoid any single point of failure. And I mentioned this before, right? The need for on-site and off-site. I just want to point out that off-site, I helped a company years ago in Las Vegas that had a disgruntled employee, former employee, break into the business over the weekend and took a baseball bat to the network equipment. The server was smashed in and bashed in and the hard drive was smashed. Now, luckily the server was pretty robust and it didn't end up doing any extensive damage to it. But if this employee had, and the external hard drive was there and it was smashed up or stolen, then that offsite backup was critical to be able to recover from that. Floods, natural disasters, theft, right? Any of those are things that can damage or destroy the on-site backup. And that's why offsite is so critical. In addition, why do you need an on-site? Well, you may think, oh, I'm just going to back up straight to the cloud. I'm going to bypass the on-site. Well, the reason we recommend one on-site, one off-site is because the on-site really offers much faster recovery times. You'll be able to recover, restore much faster than having to mount and download, especially if you have to recover everything. Being able to download an entire server that might be terabytes in size is going to take extensive time, whereas if you have an on-site backup, you can recover much faster. The backups also take place faster if you're backing up to an on-site repository. Now, there are other strategies. I'm not going to say 3-2-1 is the only strategy. There's other strategies out there, but 3-2-1 is very easy to understand and it's very easy to implement. There's many technologies out there that allow you to implement a 3-2-1 strategy. As cybersecurity threats become more prominent, you may, for your business, determine that there are other strategies that are going to work for you. What's important is that you pick one and you stick to it and make sure that you're covered. 3-2-1 is the bare minimum that we recommend. It's what we do for our clients, and we highly recommend that you implement in your business as well. If you have any other questions about 3-2-1 or other backup strategies, I'm always available to answer questions as well. I do want to put a little reminder out for our webinar later this month. I've been talking about 3-2-1 backup strategies today. Well, it's International Backup Day at the end of the month on the 31st. And so we're going to be talking more about backups. And this month's webinar is a free educational webinar. We're going to be talking about SaaS Data Backup, right? So software as a service. So think about your Office 365, your Google, those type of accounts where you have data that provider is not backing up, right? They may have some redundancies built in, but they're not providing backup. And if you have questions on that, you can go read the fine print on their license agreement, and it'll say in there, Microsoft specifically says, we don't back up your data, we recommend you have a backup. One of the most business-friendly innovations in the recent years has been the rapid growth of these type of applications like Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. They've changed how we do business, make things much easier. But as I mentioned, they don't really back up your data and protect it. They provide it to you wherever you need it, whenever you need it. But if something happens to it, it's gone. And so to reduce the risk, we're going to be talking about some different solutions for backing up that SaaS data. We're going to have a SaaS expert from Datto, Jim Robison. He's going to be our special guest, talking about why your business needs SaaS backup and some different strategies and solutions that can help you protect that business critical data that you have in those SaaS systems. So he's going to focus mainly on the top 3 reasons why you should be backing it up, and then taking time to answer questions. So hopefully we'll see you guys on there. I will put a link to the registration for the webinar in the comments, so you can register for that. Hopefully we'll see you on there later this month. What's your favorite food at Chick-fil-A? Comment just came in. That's a good question. It's hard to beat those their chicken. I don't even know what they're called. The grilled chicken. It's pretty good. And seasonally, their peach shakes, hard to beat. So if you haven't had Chick-fil-A, I recommend you go check it out. And like I mentioned before, if you have an account, change your password for Chick-fil-A. I don't see any other questions coming in or comments, so I'm going to end. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully it's nice and sunny wherever you are this Saturday, and you can enjoy your time out. I know the weather's been a little bit wacky through Nevada and most of the West Coast recently, but better weather is coming. We've been definitely enjoying the moisture. Once again, hope you have a wonderful weekend. You can contact me by direct messaging me, or you can contact my organization through our website at itnet.works. Thanks. Have a good one.